The third amigo has arrived. Brother Rhodes is in the house.
Good morning.
The Rhodes Scholar. And we have over there to my right, Dr. Bradley.
So she got all scholars here.
I'm the only one here that's, got a Rhodes Scholar, a PhD, and then my dumb self over there. I tell you.
No, you're okay.
I'm surrounded by a wealth of knowledge. But I'm telling you,
have the wisdom to actually take advantage of that knowledge.
Well, the other thing too, and I'm sure Jamal is probably paying attention to this, you must have a shaved head to be on this broadcast.
We love you, baby.
If you want to produce, if you want to engineer, I'm just looking around the table here, right?
We love you, baby.
That's right.
We love you.
It's like but you have to have the halo effect.
Gotta have it. Hello, halo.
Hello, it's me you're looking for. So if you want to apply, it's www.bald. So
scholars.com.
Baldscholars.com. So before the break, I was talking about, it says Black Americans are much more likely to face tax audits, the study finds. Now, we're into the tax season. Matter of fact, April 15th is a tax deadline. I think you get a couple of extra days.
17th in Massachusetts
because of the holiday.
Yeah.
But if you haven't got prepared, 2 more days is going to help you. I know a lot of people.
You had the 1040 easy, like if it's simple,
Well, that's that's the same. So this says, Black taxpayers are at least 3 times more likely to be audited by the Internal Revenue Service as other taxpayers, even after accounting for the differences in the types of returns each group is most likely to file. A team of economists has concluded in one of the most detailed studies yet on race in the nation's tax system, the findings do not suggest bias from the individual tax enforcement agencies who do not know the race of the people they are auditing. They also do not suggest any valid reason for the IRS to target Black Americans at such a high rate. There is no evidence that the group engages in more tax evasions than others. Instead, the findings document discrimination in the computer algorithms the agency uses to determine who is selected for an audit, according to the study by economists from Stanford University, University of Michigan, and the University of Chicago, or the Treasury Department. Now, I find a little disingenuous in that, saying that they don't know from your form. You have to sign
zip code, all right? Ain't nobody zip code.
And you sign the form. You have to sign your tax form. Mm-hmm. And they've done a study where it's based on your name when you send in your resume. They kind of gauge who you are. Mm-hmm. So if I'm looking at you, that's a very good point, Rose. I'm looking at your zip code and I'm looking at your name. You don't have to tell me. You don't have to check the box that you.
I think it's we need to know. I think first of all, I appreciate the article to put the information out there because I do concur with that. We tend to be identified as for auditing more than other people in society. But I also think I like to know how they make those decisions. Is there a computer algorithm that says, okay, this is individual? Is the individual person that says, okay, I'm going to actually, I have this a bunch of returns. I'm going to actually go in and pick one. Mm-hmm. What's the process to make?
Here's what's one of the things that this whole Trump and his taxes really revealed. Mm-hmm. And I think it plays a big part in it. It showed that if you have money, the IRS, if you have the money to fight them, they're less likely to come at you. Even if they do, the delay tactic, because you can tie this up for years, where the average person that looks like us does not have that financial wherewithal to be able to spend the money that ties their hands, right?
So it's about money.
It's
Absolutely.
about resources.
And also think about it, that when Trump got into office, he gutted the IRS because the IRS was actually going to go after the higher income that were avoiding taxes that needed to be audited, and they can get more money from those people, billions of dollars. And he said, no, because they're my friends, they're rich.
Right.
Let's kind of
that's what
back
he said
off.
to them.
And then that's why they're going after the low-hanging fruit, which is us, the poor people.
He said to them, when he passed this tax, but I just made you guys a lot of money.
Yes, he actually was quoted for saying that.
Right. So we're looking at them. I think we have a call. Good morning, caller. Welcome to the roundtable.
Good morning, Commissioner Ellison and Superintendent Bradley, your young friend.
Good morning.
Good morning.
This is Bill Wright. I just wanted to remind people that John Fitzgerald Kennedy was elected President of the United States of America at age 43, and today we have 2 contenders who are 77 and 81.
Wow.
How did this happen? It makes absolutely no sense.
And President Obama was in his 40s. He was not that. He was 40.
But of course, Obama was a Columbia man, so we understand that.
Right.
But Joe Kennedy, of course, backed JFK. But at this particular time, I often ask people, have you ever seen a picture of either Donald Trump or Joe Biden sitting at a computer?
No, I have not. I have not.
That is a very interesting question.
But but here's the thing. The difference between, I guess, for me, for Biden and Trump is that if you're not intelligent, if you can surround yourself with intelligence, then because you can't. The president is a symbolic. You need to have some intelligence. What Trump had. Trump got into office on this celebrity, right? Because he was on The Apprentice, and he had this people believing he was this multi-billionaire. Which now all the truth is coming out. So I'm not saying I give Biden a pass on whether or not he's been in front of a computer. But he at least has surrounded himself with people who will push back and who have some knowledge of the offices that they held. He's not just taking care of friends. The other person,
somebody said that Biden actually has Barack Obama's JV team, but we are old enough to remember in 1968 when Lyndon Johnson surprised the world by dropping out the presidential race. It so happens that convention was in Chicago, as is the convention this year. So just because something hasn't happened in a while, conventions are not normal. Well, now they become coronations, but they weren't designed to be coronations. So people who think that nothing can be changed, when the Red Sox pitcher is getting hammered at Fenway Park, they bring in a relief pitcher.
They do, but here's the other thing too: is that what I don't understand with people, saying that Donald Trump is this financial wizard. He has filed bankruptcy from every company he's owned in his business: the casino, the airlines, the water, the fake university. So where is this so-called prominence of his intelligence, and that he is someone? He said he and he alone can fix this. He has destroyed this country more than any former president, and that's not saying much that I can recall.
To those points, Commissioner, you do know that Donald Trump's role model is John Gotti
and Adolf Hitler.
Right, and because Donald is not a very good student, he doesn't read the entire book. He forgets that John Gotti died in prison.
After he had, you're right.
No,
All right.
And then the thing I'd like to say is, like, you notice how he can file bankruptcy, all right? And so the
company, not him personally.
The company or what have you, but it's just funny how corporations can file bankruptcy, which is a form of loan forgiveness.
Right.
And yet when it comes to loan forgiveness for us, there's a problem. There's a problem.
Well, actually, guys, I'm more interested in, and I understand that Donald Trump is a problem, but I'm more interested in the Trumpism.
Yeah.
I'm interested in the Republican Party receiving and accepting, embracing this whole ideology of Trumpism, and what happens after him. Because I foresee, and this is just Dr. Bradley speaking, a revolution within the Republican Party. I see it.
Yeah,
I see that the old guard pushing back, saying, "Wait a second, we're not going to allow you to do this." So
the Romney, the
people like
Cheneys.
the Romneys, the Cheneys, the Conways, the Steels, I don't see them sitting on the sidelines saying, "Okay, young folks, this is it. MAGA, do your thing." I just don't see it, because I thought that party was so against foreign intervention, Russia, and so on and so forth. I just don't see it happening.
Right, but here's the problem. Here's the rub, is what we were talking about earlier, and then I want to get your opinion, Bill, on this tax thing. They've been right. We see that, and we see it at the line level. But like I said about Mitch McConnell in this, is that they've been able to stack these courts with the folks who have the final decision. So you have, like in Arizona, and these courts are the ones in a lot of these states and in the Supreme Court that are overruling what the people want, because the people didn't want Roe overturned.
Yes.
Right. The people didn't want a lot Arizona 1800 law.
And there goes the impetus. There goes the rationale for the Civil War. Within the party.
Well, Commissioner, we actually have in Boston a mayor who went against the wishes of 77% of the
having an elected school committee.
And I would suggest that any professor of political science would tell you that that's not the wise way to go with any constituency.
But will she pay a price at the polls? And the answer is probably no. If she runs for re-election, she'll probably cruise.
Right. that dictatorial, and we have in that live city councilor Henry Santana, who never even voted in his life before last year. But Donald Trump had a show called The Apprentice.
Yeah.
And ironically, Donald Trump did no apprenticeship in politics before being elected president. Right. That's a failure of the Republican Party.
Yes, it is.
But if he had some sense of politics, he would know things like you can't change the birthright citizenship rule in the Constitution simply by signing the executive order. But the people around them are fearful to tell them the truth, unless they're like Rex Tillerson, the first Secretary of State, who leaves the job and says Donald Trump is a moron.
Right, but there will be none of those guardrails, and if he's reelected, he's already said it. You just look at the Republican conference there, right? The Republican Party is that you have to sign a pledge of loyalty on whether or not the election was stolen. If you don't pass that test, you don't get hired. And they purged all of the people.
Yeah, I got it. I hear you. I hear you. But I still think, and I might be wrong on this, but my gut feeling is that this is going to be a all-out battle within that confinements of the
I totally agree.
Party.
I guess because I think this election is going to be won on the margins. Are there enough? Because the only way that really happens, because like you had what's his name there? He was the one with the glasses. He kind of looks like Waldorf there. He was the National Security Advisor.
Henry Kissinger.
No. He was under Trump, the National Security Advisor. He just wrote another book, and I can see his picture with the glasses. And
I know you're talking about.
Bolton.
Yes, okay. Exactly.
So, but when he goes on and says, "I'm not voting for Trump, but I'm going to write in Mickey Mouse or he's going to write in Dick Cheney," that doesn't help.
No,
that doesn't send the message.
Yeah,
and there are a lot of Republicans who may write in something else, but that doesn't. You got to pull it from him to show the other side, and these crazies like the Marjorie Taylor Greens that we're coming for you, because a difference of opinion and policy is one thing, but to want to have an autocratic country, that's scary. That's just scary.
Larry, I wanted to add, one of my fraternity brothers worked for Tom Foley from Spokane, who was the majority leader to Speaker Jim Wright, and he introduced me to a lot of people on the Hill and people in Washington generally. And what was very clear is that for many of those Congress members, first of all, it's the best job they've ever had in their life.
The only job.
Secondly, if they're from Kansas, California, where they're from, they get to go to Washington and recreate themselves like a Bonnie Frank and so forth.
Yep.
And or certain like John Kerry, who is looked at differently in Washington than he is in Boston. In Boston, people ask him, when are you going to finish this damn big dig?
Yeah.
In D.C., he's this star and so forth, right? So we understand that these Congress members, their main goal is to get reelected.
Right.
Right. Therefore, if they're going to get primaried by somebody that Trump endorses and whatever, that's what their fear is. And that's why they were so stagnant for so long. And Trump was like that bowling ball that was rolled down the lane at the bowling alley to shake things up. Plus, of course, you guys will accurately recognize there are white Americans who buy the notion that these other people are trying to take their country, when those of us who have Native American heritage in particular, this is our country.
Right, but that philosophy, in my opinion, only works in places where they're totally red, like where Marjorie Taylor Greene can get out there. A lot of these Republicans are in states where they're on the margins, like the ones I was saying in New York, the congressmen that got elected in districts where Biden won. They can't be as vocal and crazy, as radical as Marjorie Taylor Greene, because they don't have that everyone in their district feeling the same way. So this is why, when they thought it was going to be this red wave in this last Congress.
Well, even during the midterm elections, all of Trump's endorsements lost.
Yeah, for the most part. And they might have won in the primary, but when it gets to the general election, they lose. I would not want to.
There may be political people at certain levels who think about changing the abortion rules as a way to have more white babies be born at a time when they're pushing the message that black and brown people are taking over your country.
Right, but these are the same people who when people can't afford, and as you guys said about the forgiveness, they can't afford to take care of these children. they're saying, well, the government should not be.
Yeah, but it's not about the being able to afford it. It's about it's the numbers. Yes, keep it in line.
The numbers game.
And the call is making a very good point.
Caucasian,
that
white
the
babies.
death rate of Caucasian folks is outpacing the birth
rate. Yeah.
And when that happens, your representation in a democracy where the majority is supposed to rule is in jeopardy.
Yes.
And that's the pushback.
The Republicans should have fought Trump in 2016.
Yeah, they should have.
But instead, they bailed out.
Yeah.
They fled, and that's to their detriment.
Yes.
And the guardrails you talk about were missing in that party. Trump should never have been nominated for president.
No, and that's why I think they're going to come back with a vengeance. Because they realize you have segments in that party that realize that they dropped the ball in 2016, and they should have created those guardrails, kept those guardrails intact. Because when you think about the creation of the Electoral College, it was there to prevent
someone like Trump from winning. Yes,
you know what I mean. But the parties themselves eradicated that and said we will be the guardrail, and they felt that they dropped the ball, which is one of the reasons why I have an issue with the Republican Party because they dropped the ball on keeping this lunatic out of office, in my opinion.
So, Mr. Wright, the question we started off this segment with was on the tax situation, where it says that if you're a black person, you're more likely to be audited than white. And they're trying to say it's not based on race, but the numbers support that. It looks like it's based on race.
Well, none of that is surprising. In particular, if you ask somebody what's the most fearsome federal agency in the United States of America, some may think it's the CIA, some may think it's the FBI. The reality is that it is the IRS.
Yes. That's how they got organized crime.
We're all going to be audited for having this conversation.
You notice I'm not saying that.
Thank you for your time.
Yeah, thank you. Have a good one, brother. You too.
Be blessed, brother. Be blessed.
So, Rose, you're in the financial. You have a financial background. What do you, and if you don't feel comfortable, I'm not saying you're giving any financial advice, but what are some of the things that people can do as far as record keeping, things like that? Like, most people, I don't say that they're not being truthful, but a lot of times they just don't keep good records.
Yes. And the thing I will say to most people is like filing individually, it's the least advantageous way of filing. If you're filing as an LLC or a corporation, you have way more leniency in what you can write off, and you have to keep records. You have to have records. So it's like as an individual, you're just kind of like checking off boxes. Okay, the company gave you a W-2, what have you, the bank statement, and your 401k statement. You just kind of file it. But with as a business owner, you're made to keep daily, monthly, quarterly records, and in those filings, literally, because you're a business, you have a lot more things that you can write off.
Right. And to that point, Dr. Bradley, and Rhodes, when the Senate and the Congress voted under Donald Trump with the reforms and taxes, it really put a disadvantage to a lot of the middle class. That's why people are voting against their own interests, because you used to be able to write off all of the taxes on your home. Now there's a cap at $10,000. Well, if you live outside of Boston, your taxes are probably close to are beyond $10,000 a year.
Well, I think a part of that, Larry, first of all, I think the Donald Trump tax kind of reverts back to the normal way as in 2025.
If he doesn't get back in there to extend it, they want to make it permanent. Right, it does, yes.
So that's one piece. The other piece is that I think Rose is absolutely correct. In my home, we have boxes and boxes of tax files, tax records that we filed back for 20 years. And because you never know. And then even that, you have to have records to support
7 years,
supporting those.
So
those
it's
claims.
right. So it's 7 years where they can audit you within set.
But I go back farther because I don't know when they're going to change that. I mean, I don't even.
And here's the thing too. But here's the thing with the IRS.
See, now he's speaking.
We got him on the record. We got him on the record now.
You don't know those guys over there. Those tax dodgers.
But here's
but here's
the
the guy with the red shirt on.
But here's a very interesting thing about the IRS. The IRS, like, they retroactively can change a law, and if you would file a certain way, they can go back 4, 5, 7 years and go, "Oh, we changed the law now. But taxes are different. You owe us taxes." Wait, I filed it 7 years ago. The law just changed.
I don't trust
and they literally can retroactively enforce a law that they change, and go back 7 years and make you pay those new taxes.
He's absolutely right when he said that, because if I get a letter from the courts to come and appear for something, I'm a little nervous, but I'm not. You get something with the IRS, you're scared to even open it up.
You don't want to open it up. It could be a check. I forgot to send this money. You're like, I don't want to touch this.
So when you said that, I'm like, man, he's right. It's you feel that more than the military.
Well, look at everyone that's been taken down by the IRS. They never got They never got Al Capone on crimes. They got him for tax evasion.
Right.
All right. So it's like, no matter what, that's
you got to be careful with it.
Well, because this guy had a bumper sticker that I guess kind of summed it up. And it said, and I asked him where he got it from because I wanted to get one. It said, "Don't steal. The government hates competition."
Yes.
So, I mean, we spend a lot. I mean, and that's the other thing is that the tax distribution is not fair. Like, states like Massachusetts and New York and California,
all the rich states actually support the red states, the poor states.
Thank you. Right. I mean,
but the red states finally recognize like Obamacare is actually something good for them. So now they're fighting to try to keep the Obamacare in their state.
Even the capping for seniors, that $35 a month for insulin.
Yes.
Those are things like people are realizing now that they may be voting against their own interests in this upcoming election. 617-282-0685, 617-282-0685. Have you had any issues with the IRS? Tax deadline is the 17th here in Massachusetts, but in most states it's the 15th. Dr. Bryce, he needs the 17th because he's going to be running a marathon on Monday.
No, I mean, I did mine a long time ago, but again, keep your files, keep your records. You don't play with that particular organization because they can do some things that most law enforcement organizations can't do.
But the funny thing is, there's no law in the book that actually says you have to pay your taxes. If you can look it up, there is no actual law in the book that says Americans have to pay their taxes.
Well, and think about it. Someone has said to me a while ago as well is that, it's the only time like where they take it from you. Like if the IRS had to have you send in your check every month, every week on your taxes, how many people would actually do it, right? If they didn't get it ahead of time, right?
I clearly see the need for a level of enforcement. I don't know if they have to have the level of the deepness of the enforcement, the way that they do it,
scary.
Thank you. I'm looking for the word. You know what I mean? Because like I said, the only agency in government that can actually just take away anything, take it all away from you.
And I think that's what gives that fear is because, if you go to jail for something, they don't take your bank account. They don't take your house. You may lose it because if you can't continue to pay it, but they can't go in and raid your bank
seize
account.
Your property,
right?
Or seize your check,
right?
Come on, Doc. You know what I mean? You working every week, and you're expecting to have, and they can say no, that goes to us.
And it's not just people think that if you are on a pension or Social Security, those are immune from it. They're not.
No, they're not. No.
They're not. Your taxes are first. Only thing guarantees tax and death.
And they tax you to death. And they tax you to death. So that's right.
Let me cut it out.
No, I mean it's interesting to think about, like I said, because I know a lot of people are afraid, and I tell people, once you get behind, the penalties and interest, it's just like
accumulate every day,
not monthly, not weekly,
every day.
Every day. So you never. It's almost like a student loan.
Yeah.
You really. How many people actually get to pay off their student loan? I'm sure, Dr. Brown, you've got your PhD. Have you paid off your student loans?
No, not at all.
Is there any daylight in sight?
Not that I can see.
Right.
I'm sure it is, but no. It's a difficult endeavor. And the problem
are those federal student loans or private loans? Okay, federal loans are the only ones that go away with you after you pass away.
Yeah.
Private loans do not. They can still go after your family for the private loans.
Yeah. but
Yeah.
they're federal. But the whole thing is that it's hard to get an education without them.
Well, this is what we were saying is that, and now there's this question on whether or not you need. I'm not saying that you need them, because like next year, BU $90,000 at the beginning of the next semester. How many people have $90,000 out of their budget to pay for school and then live?
Yeah.
Most people don't make $90,000 a year.
Yeah, but see, the problem is that a lot of people are beginning to reevaluate the value of a college education. I personally think that you can't do better without a college. I'm in that area.
All I'm going to say is these days, because of technology, a lot of millionaires do not need college degrees. They can go on TikTok and start making a living, and then but the economy's changing.
Yeah, I think we're in a shift of how we do business and how we actually do things in America. Education is not any different. I think AI is going to take over a lot of things that we currently doing. We did back in the 20th century. So people like myself who are well educated, who are in the academic community, working at the collegiate level, may be pushed to actually move their lectures, move their sessions online, or have that online AI create this. And so there's a lot of different movements.
So to that question, do you see, because you say I know you're a college professor, do you see more people asking the schools for more online, or do you see in-person attendance more?
I think it's generational. I think what you see is that if you have individuals who are going back to school after spending some time on the workforce, and they're doing continuous ed, those individuals are looking for an online
because they have to work.
They have to work. They have to actually, like my father used to say to me, there's only 3 8s in a day. You know what I mean? And one of those 8s you have to sleep, so they only leave you with 2. Right. And so colleges have to be creative with how they're actually ushering and pushing out those education. So you would get online, you would get asynchronous and synchronous Zoom sessions and things of that nature. They were very creative in how we do it. Then you have this other younger segment of society who are actually undergrad, who are pushing to have a in session face to face. Every college is in the hospitality business. They got to deal with food. They got to deal with hotel, with camp. All that brings in money. You see what I'm saying? So it really depends on the level of education.
So you bring up some very interesting points, and I want to get your take on this as well, Rose, because I think COVID really helped to facilitate and make people more comfortable with online, because you couldn't go in person. But I think to that point, I know, because we talk about this on the broadcast with people just communicating skills and interpersonal, is that there is if you in person, but kids today, they don't really communicate. But that was the benefit of going in person. Like when I went, is that I got to talk to people. I got to see people being on the campus, where the computer, I might be in a room by myself or in my car, wherever I am. I'm not really communicating in the way that I am in the classroom.
Well, that really depends on how the professor is running the course. Okay. I have run some course where I call asynchronous, where I'm actually in Zoom, and I'm actually doing my lecture on Zoom. And I will actually go in and I share my screen. You see my PowerPoints, and I'm having a conversation. So you can be anywhere you want to be. All I ask is that you activate your camera so I can see that it's you there.
Right.
So there's sessions like that. There's other sessions where the professor will record the PowerPoint presentation. Post that into Canvas or Blackboard, whatever modality they're using, and then the individual can go in and listen to the PowerPoint whenever they want to.
I guess my point is that, though, I feel like in that scenario, I'm not saying it's effective, but I'm missing that human interaction, right? Because like we're here now, the three of us, if we were doing this from Zoom, I wouldn't be able to kind of catch, looking around the room, getting people's reactions in the same way. So
you would see the video of the person. I mean, I'm on this. It's a Zoom session, so you can see me. You may not know what I have on below the desk, but you can see me. But my point here is that so you still have that interaction. Other ways that you can do if you have a complete online course, where you can, like for instance, when I'm doing a master's course online, and I have a discussion board, then everyone has to be on that discussion board at a particular time. I'm on that board as well, and I'm interacting.
Right. So I think you've done a good job of adapting to the technology and stuff like that. But I think what Larry's trying to point out is the fact that the organic or just the natural idea of being in the same room sometimes creates a dynamic.
It does, because like for instance, when after the class is over, we walk out. We might go have a bite to eat and converse over things, or what did you get from Dr. Bradley's lesson? I can't get that.
That segment where you have the physical contact or physical face-to-face communication between two students, that segment is missing. The only way you can replace that is having a separate
breakout room.
Yeah, where you can have that interaction where people can kind of talk and say, okay, what you got out of this, how you're dealing with it.
And that's the point that I was trying to say, is that you don't get that, because the reason why I highlight that is because like even now I needed to go in town the other day. Boy, do I miss my cruiser! And so I parked. And I got on the train, and it was such an adventure, right? Because I hadn't been on the train in God knows how long, right? And everyone on the train is on their phone.
Yep.
No one is talking. No one's talking. No one's looking at each other, and it was just amazing how wow, we don't they wouldn't even know who was on the train. Yeah. If someone was lying on the floor, they don't look up. So I'm like, and for me. Maybe it's because of what I do. My head is on a swivel. I'm looking at everybody, to see what's going on. And folks are so addicted to their devices that the human contact is no longer there. Yeah. And even when an elderly person or someone, you would get up for that person.
The food that they don't even acknowledge.
But I think again, COVID has forced America and as well as other societies to rethink how they're actually doing daily business. All right, and it's not always about reporting and being there. I was in Chicago. My daughter got accepted to med school. I was in Chicago, and we were looking at an apartment. Well, the apartment is downtown Chicago that used to be a shipping building. Okay. And now it's all loft, And I said to the woman, wasn't this a commercial building? She says, yeah, but we had to we bought it and we repurposed it and rezoned it. It was rezoned to commercial.
Well, doing that a lot here
because a lot of people
are mortars are
exactly.
People don't.
A lot of people are moving away from this brick and mortar reporting, and you're doing it online. So every facet of society is dealing with this revolution.
But it's not just that portion, right? I mean, you can think something, and 2 minutes later, it's on your doorstep. And so, So, I mean, people they don't shop. Like for me, and I know you guys probably the same way. Like I go, if I'm going to shop for my food, I don't want anybody touching it really but me. So I'm going to the grocery store to pick out my things. I don't want someone who's got 5 carts shopping for everybody. That doesn't work.
Well, that might not be the option in 10 years.
That's what I'm saying. That's the scary part.
Stores may not be around in 10 years. It may be the grocery store may be some type of warehouse where you have
they'll be looking
AI,
at it like
AI going out
like the phone.
Grabbing your food and it's been dropped off on your doorstep by some type of drone. That might be the only option to getting food.
That's why that's why I do things by phone with a live person, and I go to the cash register with a live person. Yeah. That way, keep the person employed for a while.
I know. Good morning, caller. Welcome to the scary room. Welcome to the round table.
Hey, good morning. It's Jamal. How y'all doing?
Oh, you got any lollipops for us?
right.
Who loves you, baby? Hot put his hat back on.
You mentioned the MBTA, and the last time I was on, what was so death-defying for me, and it's been like this for a while, but it's the kids.
Yes.
And the mouth on these kids.
Yeah.
I mean, it's almost like you're at the auction, and they want to see how many N-words they can, like how many times can you fit it in one sentence?
Well, I think they crave attention. I think that they don't get other places, because I say the same thing. But my way of dealing, I just ignore them because I hear it, but I feel like if I look at you, it just gets you to do it more. So I ignore that type of behavior. I really do.
what's crazy is, like you said, back in the day, we used to be like, hey, man, you want this seat?
Right.
Or something like that.
Right.
But now, like, a kid will be sitting in that seat, and, the Emma Effa and the B's and the N's and all this, and some old lady is standing right above them. They'll be talking crazy. So it's like all respect is out the window. And also, too, for all white people out there, it sends a chill up my spine, because all of these white people who are just going about their business, going to and from work, home, school, whatever, and they're inundated with this. And I can only imagine the car, like, oh my God, you should have heard how these people talk.
Well, that's
it's just completely.
No, you're right.
It's completely backwards.
No, you're right. And 2 points to what you're taking, right? Because when I noticed that there was signage that said, like, so they had to spell it out, that if an elderly or a disabled person is in need of this space, for you to relinquish it, and maybe they can't read, but I mean, it's 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 literally posted.
Yeah, but that's been posted since I was a kid, since I've been running.
But I mean, this was a newer train, so I mean, the technology. I'm like, okay, it's obvious that they want you to yield to people.
Yeah, they have designated handicapped and elderly seats, but but people sit in them. But now check it out. Now you be the bus driver that tries to enforce that and tell them kids get about the seat. Now you about to get spit on,
right? Exactly.
Slapped.
That plexiglass isn't going to help you. But also, Jamal, to your point about the and like I said, now if some person that didn't look like them were to call them that, they would lose their mind and they want to fight. But I'm like, you guys greet each other like it's a terms of endearment. When you greet each other, like, I would never. What's up, my? Huh?
You know what? No, it's gone beyond the term of endearment, Larry. Now it's like, you know how when people talk and at the end of a sentence they say
yeah.
Now it's like one of those things. It's just filler. It's not even, because now it's just, they be like, yo, what what time is it?
Right.
It's just like it's like part of the. It's almost like a what is it, a suffix or something?
Right.
I mean, it's just.
But right, we had ways of talking as well, but we also were versatile, where we could pivot to, we knew we couldn't talk like that to our teacher or to adults in general, right? These kids have no filter today. They talk like that regardless.
So my question is, because what we're talking about is conditioning. My question is, where's the conditioning coming from?
Well, clearly from what they're entertained with, what they're hearing in their homes. So you're right. It's an array of places. But Jamal, I also want to pick. We were talking about the taxes. Have you had any tax situations? We were talking about, because they were saying that that black people are more likely to be audited than whites.
Yeah, I'm under audit right now. I got a letter in the mail. They audited me for my my write-off of gas.
Really?
Yeah, to the tune, the big wheeler and dealer that I am over here, big skimmer and scammer over here, they're questioning me about $700 funky dollars.
Wow. Wow.
$700 funky dollars on gas. I talked to the lady online. Over the phone. She was very unpleasant.
Yeah.
But I'm about to get. But it's like, $700. I said it takes $75 every time I fill my tank. How many times you think I fill my tank in a year?
Right. Wow. So
ain't even 10% of.
So you're a living person here who is going through this. We were just talking about, because this is what I'm saying, is that and yet you have folks like Trump who can go years and years and years without getting, and then if they do, they're able to put up so many walls and layers to fight it.
But remember how funny when Trump got into office and then he had, did something with the tax law.
Well, he claimed, but he also claimed, that was the first red flag there, when he claimed he was under audit, so he couldn't. The first candidate in a long time
to not release his tax
taxes,
records.
and now we know why.
Yeah, but when he got into office, the tax law that he enacted, all of a sudden, all these corporations found billions of dollars that were offshore accounts. Now they can claim because they were going to be taxed,
right, or at a lower rate. So Jamal, where do you stand with that? Do they want you to pay the $700, or they're going to forgive it?
I gotta provide them with documentation. And here's the kicker. Okay, to y'all's point earlier about keeping records. So me, Mr. Fancy Pants computer guy, right? I keep everything, because first of all, I barely use cash. Okay. Very, very rarely do I use cash.
Same here.
So everything is already kept on a record on the cards that I use, right?
The debit or the credit. Yep.
So I get a printout of the thing, and then I do my spreadsheet, and I know, look, if it's AutoZone, I know that's an auto expense. If it's Stop and Shop, I know that that's groceries.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Walgreens, I know it's prescriptions. So I'm able to, very easily put all my stuff in a spreadsheet for the entire year, and I know exactly how much I've spent on everything, right?
Mm-hmm.
So for me, it's funny because now when I told the lady, I was like, okay, so I have the proof. I can get. She told me bank statements are not sufficient proof. They need receipts.
Wow.
I'm like, ma'am.
Excuse me.
I said, I understand y'all are operating from old school thing, but you understand now when people swipe or tap their card and then it says, "Would you like a receipt?" Most people say no,
Right? Because they don't want the
because who wants all that paper?
Right.
I said, and then the other point is, I used to be an avid receipt keeper, and I used to have trash bags full, not even trash bags, but the paper like lawn and leaf bags, full of receipts. Okay, and then you go for them next year. How many of them are faded out?
Thank you.
Yeah.
Right. Turn yellow, or if you can find them, because it's not something. I mean, even though you put them somewhere, if I put something where my wife is going to move it, so it's not going to be there.
That's a sad commentary, man. Because what I usually do not do is receive a receipt. They'll go email it. Now I'm gonna start having it emailed to me because I'm sad to hear that they're wanting only receipts because I don't keep my receipts at all. Oh no!
And to me, the bank statement should be the ultimate receipt.
But Jamal's right there. Like, why is it the bank record is not sufficient?
Right. That's
where the money came from.
Right. Exactly. So
wow.
So
that's all they're going to get anyway, because that's all I got.
Yeah.
So I can't produce receipts that I don't got.
So that's the only thing. So that's the only thing on your that they flagged was because you were putting for gasoline.
Well, no, I write off everything.
No,
so they have a list of.
I'm saying is that the only thing they objected to was the gas?
Exactly. Yep. Exactly.
Well, I won't have that.
Yeah, which is weird though too, because if anything, I would have thought that they could have got me for entertainment. Because
don't give them no ideas now.
What happened?
I said, don't give them no ideas now.
Right. But I'm saying, out of all the write-offs, I'm thinking that is the weakest one because your cable bill or whatever. I mean, I make a case there for internet or what have you. But it's pretty liberal, and I didn't try to do anything funky. I didn't fudge the numbers.
Yeah.
So we'll see how it goes. This is my first time dealing with it, but also too, I'm a newer regular taxpayer because remember my entire life basically I've been self-employed and this and that. So my taxes were very very different up until now. Yeah. So
is this so how far back are they going? Just this previous year or this year?
Yeah, that was 2022.
Okay, so they didn't go back like 7 years of it. They just flagged 1 year of your tax.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Because I guess that's the only year that they found the issue with.
Yeah.
Once again,
I think they randomly
for that
pick out
paltry sum.
Yeah.
It just shocks me. Like if I was getting slick, you think this is what I was getting slick with?
Well, yeah, because I know a lot of times that they usually flag like charitable donations, right? Because like most people, if they go to church, I mean, a lot of older people still you put cash in there, they don't, or they write a check. The church doesn't give you a receipt.
I know. Actually, these days, a lot of churches do give you a receipt.
Oh, do they?
If you give them a check, or if you
they'll give you an itemized list of things that they have. We do it at church.
Yeah.
Okay.
Itemized list of donations, stuff that you have done.
Because the church themselves have to file their taxes too.
Oh, okay.
But they don't actually pay taxes.
But they file.
Yeah, they do.
File taxes
because they have to have a record of their finances.
So I mean, but that's the thing is that a lot of times associated with this, when you do get these. So did you have that pit in your stomach, Jamal, when you got that letter? Or Jamal's so cool, he probably didn't.
Well, that's funny because y'all in law enforcement offices and all this type of thing. Like me, I ain't never cared. So no, I don't care about these people. They can't do nothing to me. So whatever. You know what I mean? And then if it gets real crazy, I'm the gingerbread man. Catch me if you can.
Jamal crazy.
But real talk, I don't worry about it. It's like pieces of paper. I mean, I'll never forget when I was going through child support. And this is at the time when I'm taking care of my grandmother and everything like that. And the judge took away my license. And And I was like, you know, Your Honor, like, I take care of my grandmother. I have to take her to appointments, the hospital, do the shopping, prescriptions. Yeah. She said, Mr. Crawford, your obligation is not to your grandmother. It's to this court. You will not be driving. And I was like, Your Honor, I drove here.
You need a ride home?
and I'm driving home. Right. You understand? And then I'm going shopping for my grandmother. Because that's what I'm saying. See, at the end of the day, they have the power of the paper.
Yeah.
But unless you capture me, cuff me, and put me in the room, I'm going to do what I want.
That's
and,
funny.
you know, y'all could make a rule, and, you know, all that, whatever. But, yeah, no. I'm doing what's right for my life.
It's funny because I used to, I'm not working. I used to see Jabal, and I knew he didn't have a lot. I would look the other way. I used to see him coming down Warren Street, and he had a little, I don't know if it was a green car. He had a little old car.
Yeah, that was my grandmother's Honda Civic.
Yeah, and there goes Jabal, right? And you could just, because I knew he didn't have a license at the time. I just looked the other way. I'm like, I need to bother this brother. Because I'm going to tell you honestly, because I know what he did for the community outweighed anything, you know. So to me, like, that's what sometimes common sense has to come into play.
I love you. That's why I love you, bro.
Right. Because matter of fact, when I was first started doing Feed the Hood, I was doing it. I know. Imagine all that food in the Honda Civic.
Right. Sitting in the tow lot. I know. We're doing wheelies.
So you're gonna take his car, tow it, and with all the food in there,
having it sit at the lot. Yeah. So let me tell you a quick story. I don't know if I ever told it on the air. A friend of mine who was a police officer at the time, he had, because you're talking about, you know, the judges and garnishment and stuff like that, right? He had hit the lottery for like about $6,000, and so, you know, he had a friend of his who wasn't working, so he figured it would be cheaper for him to turn in the ticket and get the money. So he took him over there to the lottery place there, and he goes in, and the guy comes out shaking his head. He's like, "Where's my money? Where's my money?"
I owe taxes. They took it from
me. He owed child support. So he didn't know. He's like,
do you know when you walk into the casino, like if you win money, you can't even walk out with they take it, they tax you before they give you your winnings.
Right, but I would never have thought about that. I mean, you know, so, and who knows?
The Social Security number, they know, baby. They know.
They took the money because he owed back child support. It was in the system, and they cut the money. So now you can't go back in there and say, "Well, I was trying to not pay the taxes. I really was my money, right?" And now you know this guy ain't got no. If he ain't paying the child support, he sure ain't coming up with.
Because he was going to claim the money. Yeah,
because he was claiming it in his name because he wasn't working to pay less taxes, but he was in the system for child support. So, oh man, yeah. So he was right in one aspect. He won't have to pay no taxes on that money because he don't see any. But that's why they say don't steal. The government hates competition. But I mean, all of that stuff is tied into the system now, where it wasn't. That's why when they decriminalized child support, in some ways, I told people, I said I was kind of a big mistake because like some people, I get it, they can't pay, but there are people who intentionally don't pay. And I'm like, if they're taking money out of my check every week to pay for your child, you should be supporting them well. Because I wasn't there during the baby making session.
That's right.
But yet every week, now that FICA is going to pay to help pay for that. Because I remember Judge King, he had a saying. I remember one of my friends who was a cadet. We were young, and I drove him up to the court. We were in our cadet uniform, the white shirt, and I'm like, we go in there, and the judge says to put him in the dock. I'm like, you gonna put this cadet? You know, he puts him in the dock because he claiming that it wasn't his. And when they called his case, now I'm sitting there nervous because I'm like, how am I gonna tell them he just got arrested? And I'm up here with him, you know, drove him up there. So when he come out and he told the judge, he says, well, Judge, it's not my child. And Judge King rolled his glasses down. He had a saying. He pulled his glasses down to the bottom of his nose and he says, I tell you what, young man, you keep feeding him enough, he'll start looking like you.
Wow.
Exactly. And that was such an eye-opener for me.
Wow.
He said, you keep feeding him enough, he'll start looking like you.
Oh, man.
In order to judgment. And I'm like, wow.
So did he eventually prove that it wasn't his child through DNA testing?
I don't know. I didn't ask no more questions. I couldn't wait to get out of there because I'm like, he just got arrested. And he's in this full little cadet uniform, and that didn't mean. I guess he thought that was going to help him. It didn't. It only embarrassed him. And I'm sitting there in line thinking, "Am I next? Because I drove him here." You know, I mean, I was young, 19 years old.
Yeah,
But
young and scared. Huh?
yeah. I'm like, whoa. How am I going to explain this? You know, going back. Well, where's the other guy? He up there for child support. You know, but yeah, he said, you keep feeding him enough, he'll start looking like you. I'm like, that's how this system works.
Yeah. Well,
Guilty until proven innocent.
Yeah.
And even then,
And if you think about that, right? Because I'm actually working on legislation right now, as I have been for quite some time, along with Darren Howell, and it looks like it's finally coming to fruition. But see, if you really think about that, it's like these crime shows you see where some guy gets locked up for the murder, but he's really not the murderer.
yeah.
So now he's in jail 20 years and like, I didn't kill her, I didn't do it, I'm not the murderer. And see, at the same time, what that means is we've had a failure in the system there.
Yeah.
But the biggest failure is that there's some other dude out there who killed somebody who's like, la-da-da-da-da-da.
Yep.
Right, it's like the Central Park Five. Huh?
Yeah.
Exactly. So in
Still
this
no
case here,
apology from Trump.
the judge threw the hammer at your homeboy,
Yep.
and this might not even be his child.
Right.
And meanwhile, that means that there's some deadbeat dad out there who had to feel no repercussions, no accountability.
Right.
So how does that help the system, the child, the mother?
Well,
So
It's not the court. It's not a court of justice. It's a court of law.
I'm gonna be honest with you. I found out later on he had like 5 kids by different women, so most likely it probably was here. I mean, clearly he wasn't practicing responsible behavior, so the likelihood is it was probably was his.
yeah, he was not doing what he needed to do.
No, and it caught up with him. Speaking of which, talking about the recent passing of, before we leave, the O.J. Simpson was the guy that most people think got away with murder. You know, and you know,
never did find the real killers.
no, but also, you know, again, we go back to that Rodney King and OJ. You know, I honestly I thought he had something to do with it, whether he committed it or not. But the fact that, again, he realized that he was a black man when it came down to that, and all of a sudden, you know, he could sympathize with what we were going through and what we still go through today, you know, and like with Clarence Thomas is another one, it eventually catches up with you
Eventually.
when you want to be on the other side, thinking that will protect you from harm. It won't.
Well, no, and the thing is, it's like it kind of like highlighted how justice in the system works. It's like people like him, like although he was black, he still had the resources.
Well, see, when they
and the
say,
money.
you know, you see that the statute and say justice is blind, and you see
it's green.
you see the woman with the blindfold around. But when we get in there, they take a little peek. they lift it up a little bit. He ain't one of us. Here. That Jamal out there. Yeah, you drove here. That's
And
funny.
well, I tell you though too, you know, since Johnny Cochran died first, maybe he'll defend OJ one last time.
Yeah, I don't know. And it's funny because he went to jail. You think that he would have been smart enough, right? He got away with murder, some people say. But then you get arrested for stealing back stuff.
No, but and the funny thing is, everyone in that room had a recording device except for OJ. And OJ was there trying to get his stuff back, and it was a setup.
Yeah, well, I mean,
but he didn't learn his lesson. Exactly
right. You go waltzing in there, you know, you can't.
It's stuff.
It's crazy.
Well, all I can say about that, man, is that man can judge you all he wants to, but now he's in the ultimate court, the court of the Lord.
He is, and we'll figure out what he did with that. Jamal, thank you, sir. I appreciate you getting up early and with us here at the round table. You getting ready to run the marathon on Monday?
No, but I know a lot of people who are, so God bless all those who are running it. I know that's a Herculean effort.
Yeah.
So, you know, God bless all those who are doing it. I might watch it on TV.
This will be the first marathon that I will not have to work. Yeah. Oh, correct. Yeah, I know. It felt strange. Like,
yeah.
I would have been prepping, getting all my, trying to find all my gear, my pop platoon equipment and all of that.
It feels funny, huh?
It does, but it's a good funny. I don't have to deal with that.
I can stay in bed. I don't have to worry about it.
Get up at 5 o'clock in the morning. You know, be there by 6 and sitting around waiting.
Is the old Commissioner Bill Evans running it this time?
I don't know. He usually runs. I mean,
yeah, he does.
I mean, he's someone that needs to be running to the McDonald's or something.
To the food bank.
Put some food on, yo. All right. Well, Jamal, thank you, sir. I will see you in the AM. I appreciate you,
Yes,
my brother. Thanks. All right, folks. Yes, sir. Folks, you've been listening to At the Round Table with MAMLEO. Man, that time goes by fast. My brother Rose, any parting remarks from you, sir?
No, just again, I feel blessed to be here, and I'm happy that we're doing this program and actually putting an alternative or speaking the truth.
Having some fun.
Yes.
Dr. Bradley, that is Dr. Bradley in the red. If you any IRS agents on the call,
he's got meticulous records.
He's got the receipts.
He's got the meticulous records.
As they say in the mob, you got receipts.
I'm poor, man. I'm poor.
You got receipts,
I leave all that stuff to my wife, man. She's meticulous.
Blaming it on the wife. All right.
She's
He's filing jointly but separate.
Filing jointly but auditing separately.
I'm gonna save this broadcast for Erica. Any other party remarks? I'm good. We're not gonna be blessed. We're blessed. We're blessed and out of here. Oh, that was a good one. Oh, so tired. No.